local man of leisure and local art enthusiast. And today I'm very, very pleased to have my almost equal in the world of art, Charles Phaneuf. Charles, did I pronounce your name correctly?
That's pretty close. Phaneuf. Yeah,
Phaneuf.
hold
Thank
on.
you, Charles. Charles is an almost native of Raleigh. Wasn't born here, unfortunately, but has been here since his elementary school days. Has a long history in supporting the local arts and is currently the director of the United Arts Council. Charles, tell us a little bit about what the Arts Council does in Raleigh.
Awesome. Well, thanks. Well, I'm excited to be here and to meet this world famous man of leisure that I've heard so many things about. I mean, odes, songs written in your honor. I mean, so this is a thrill of a lifetime. Thank you.
You're charmed, I'm sure. Do you know how much it cost me to have those odes written?
I know, right? Yeah, odes are expensive for sure. I'll tell you a little bit about United Arts
Please.
Council. We are the local arts agency for Raleigh and Wake County. We're a nonprofit organization, and our general mission is to promote and support the arts in Wake County. The kind of three categories in which we do that: we directly fund arts organizations and individual artists for the work that they do. We do a lot of work in Wake County Public Schools, bringing individual artists into the classrooms for workshops, residencies, performances. And then the last category of things we do is with municipalities, a lot outside of Raleigh. We do, for example, murals in some of the smaller towns across the county. We help them with their, art walks or concert series, things like that. Even we've done some cultural plans in Eastern Wake County. So we're kind of like your general go-to to help grow the arts in any part of the community, whether it's the work that an organization does, an artist does, municipality, in the schools, all that kind of stuff.
So headquartered in Raleigh on Glenwood South, but a reach throughout the county and beyond.
A to Z, that's Apex to Zebulon.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I'm stealing that. That's thank you very much. Well, I'm going to take a tangent real quick. One of our previous guests, Greg Witt, Drum for Change, was telling us about a fair that is put on, I think, by you guys to help get all these local artists a shot to be in the school system.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, and I think like everybody right now, there's a little bit of uncertainty around what events we're going to do in person.
That's what he was saying. Yes, sir.
Yeah. But that event, and I mean, I think that the spirit of that event will continue regardless of what exactly it looks like in August. But that particular event is called the Artists in Schools Expo, and we run that for the cultural art reps from all the elementary schools across the county to come and get to meet artists, see their work, and be like, yes, we need that in our classroom. This last year, we did 428 performances across Wake County Public Schools. Well, those either performances, residencies, or workshops. We reached 120,000 kids. It's one of the largest programs anywhere in the country. And I mean, if you just hear what these kids say and what their parents say and their teachers, I mean, they're just like, it just makes a huge difference to have an artist like Greg come into their classroom, spend some time with them, to get to learn something about a drum. I mean, it really just it inspires such a sense of self-confidence in kids. It helps them understand different cultures. Just so many different benefits. That program is one of the things we're most proud of, and we love Greg to death. He's just an incredible artist. So many great, and there's so many great folks like that around here.
Really?
That kind of conduit, so that that school says, well, we need somebody to come in and do a mural. We need a really great writer to come in, and we're like, we've got the person for you. We vetted them, and then we help them connect with that person, and we subsidize them coming into the classroom.
Right. Well, that's one of my favorite things of so many that you do. And some of my favorite childhood memories are artists in schools. Yes. And I remember the guy that came in every Friday to play the guitar, and he was just wonderful. Now, though, we've all been impacted by the quarantine, and I'm sure you guys have had some fundraising and missing some events. Can you tell us a little bit about how you're zigging and zagging to catch up?
Yeah, well, I think, it's definitely a time where we're all having to be creative and re-envision what we do. I mean, some of the stuff that we do, like First Friday, we've gone virtual with it. Over 1,000 people have participated the last month, which is great. This last month, we showed George Le Chevalier's painting. We had a wine tasting with the wine feed. That was super fun. Month before that, we showcased kids from Wake County Public Schools, their art that we show as part of Pieces of Gold. So, we just, we're always just interested in how do we like tell people about what we do. I think as I look across the county, I see a lot of arts organizations doing really cool stuff. People are figuring out how to, because kids still are looking for things to do. So a lot of arts organizations like Raleigh Little Theater is offering classes online, and their families are signing up even more than they were signing up before this, which is amazing. The Women's Theater Festival is getting people to subscribe to view their plays on Twitch. And so they're building this following on a whole new medium and doing these play readings. That's tremendously exciting. I love this tiny art project that's happened. If you don't know about that, that's really cool. At Fletcher Park, you can go around and find these like tiny sculptures that have been left and like basically go on a scavenger hunt. We're seeing so many examples of really great creativity in the arts community. And so, for all organizations, whether it's United Arts or, any of these arts organizations or individual artists, just helping people understand how you're responding to COVID. A lot of places are making masks too. A really great arts organization that we fund, Diamante, based in Cary, that primarily serves Latinx audiences. They said, what our community needs right now is masks. So we're going to, instead of doing this program that we were planning to do, instead we're going to spend that time making masks and distributing them to our audience, because in the Latinx community there's a much higher rate of COVID, and they're partnering with Asian American Focus, so that's a new partnership. There's all kinds of amazing things that these groups are doing, because I think fundamentally as arts organizations we're there to serve people, so we're going to try and meet people wherever they are. And we're going to try and find, what it is that they need, and hopefully help make their lives a little better.
Well, Charles, it's so good to hear that the arts are so banded together. I was speaking with Jennifer Martin of Shop Local Raleigh not too long ago, and we were talking about the term coopertition, where a lot of businesses, but particularly in the arts community, they're not competing against each other.
Right.
Cooperate so closely that it's cooperation, and it's a powerful power of local, and it really gives a boost. And United Arts Council seems to be the epitome of that to me.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we're there to serve everybody, and hopefully, it's certainly the case. I think you're right, Robert, that a rising tide lifts all boats in the arts. And we know that from just like looking at, and unfortunately, almost any of these examples are places that are struggling right now. But like New York is not driven by like one or two theaters. It's driven because it has many, many really awesome theaters. And that's the case with like any town that has a really healthy infrastructure. Example of that is the North Carolina Artist Relief Fund that we've started with, along with VAE Raleigh, Pinecone, Theater Raleigh, Art Space. And we've already sent grants to 408 artists. We've raised $140,000. And we've done that together because we know artists have lost income. And, now, thankfully, unemployment benefits are being extended to contractors, but it's still a drop in the bucket for what a lot of people have lost. And, but I think that's a great example of co-opetition. I like that term. Yeah. We all need to kind of band together and figure out what we can do collectively to help, make sure that the arts are still going to thrive and survive, on the other side of this.
Right. Well, there's certainly been that financial impact, and across the board with artists, from music to visual to, and you mentioned that fundraising opportunity again. Do you have that contact information handy? You could share.
Yeah, I can share that. It's vaeraleigh.org is the site, and then there's a specific landing page for the Artist Relief Fund. But I can share that with you. And or you can also just look up North Carolina Artist Relief Fund.
Perfect. And we'll put it in the notes after broadcast.
Awesome.
Well, that's great. So let's pivot to something a little more bright, maybe. Have you thought about the reopening and steps that will be taken and be necessary to reopen?
Yeah, well, it's we're all starting to talk about it, but I think it's I think in a lot of ways it's going to look different for different kinds of groups, because we know that it looks very different to have an outdoor festival than
Right.
it does to get people into a small space. And, with whatever we all start to do as the cultural community in town, we want to prioritize that people are healthy and safe. It is not, somebody told me early in my life, and I don't know, maybe we're not, you know, art's not an emergency. We're here to serve people, but we're not here to cause problems, I guess is
Right.
a better way of saying it, because you might say that art is, well, it can be, an important, I mean, it is fundamental to life, I believe, but we're here to help, not to hurt. So we have to be really careful about how we do these things. And yet, we'll know that, as we progress through this thing, we'll know, um, how to do things safely. And I think that there's several different questions embedded in that. First of all is like obviously what the law is. Second of all is what your organization can make happen in a way that you can actually, successfully say to patrons, look, we are, doing this and this, and you can be comfortable coming here. But I think that we have to understand too that there's going to be a difference in how audiences are willing to come back to certain things over different times. Like, I mean, some of my conversations with colleagues, people who have underlying health conditions may not want to come to things for a while. And then we have to think about the artists and the workers as well. So it's going to look really, I know I'm being kind of wishy-washy, Robert, but the truth of the matter is it's going to look really different for different kinds of organizations depending on what they're doing. I do think that outdoor things are going to come back first, just because, I think there's a lot more, I mean, just knowing that, you can socially distance outside. It's a lot easier doing that in an enclosed space. And just, we know from data that there's a lot more transmission of stuff happening when you're in a closed space.
Right.
So that's the more dangerous thing. But, right now there's a ton of uncertainty. So, I think, this virtual stuff will continue to happen for a while. And when we move back, it's gonna also have to happen in phases, and it's gonna look different for different kinds of organizations.
Yeah, it's just too early to tell. It's a brain tease and things we have to mull over. We keep encouraging our audience that while we're in quarantine, it's a great time to sharpen your skills or to make plans for the future. And
That's
that's
right. And a thing I've been saying to everybody I've had an opportunity to during this time is like, you can still stay in touch with all these arts organizations, and most of, if not all of them, are still providing a way for you to interact with them. United Arts, we've got a creative social distancing resource that we've created just to like say, look, this artist is like created these new how to create Jean Brossart, who's one of our mosaic artists, created this great video on like how to make a mural at home, or a mosaic. I'm sorry, not a mural, a mosaic, with stuff around your house. I mean, we have all these organizations that are offering, Carolina Ballet is offering ballets you can watch online. So there's all these different, just like you can still support a lot of your local businesses by going and ordering curbside or
right.
whatever. You can do that with a lot of your local arts organizations too. And I think we'll see more examples of creative programming that lets people do that kind of stuff. But the thing I'm encouraging people to do is stay in touch with those organizations, see what they're up to, join their mailing list if you're not on them, because even though we can't, we've been saying for our first Fridays, let's get together while staying apart.
Right.
Right? Like we can still come together. It's just different for a while.
Well, your virtual First Fridays are fantastic and very well attended. Wow, this is great. I know him and her and her and him.
It was that's part of the fun, right? Like in the arts, we're about creating community, right? Like it's, and hopefully, I don't know, maybe it's a little bit tougher if you didn't know some of those people to get to know them, virtually. But I don't know, that last one, like, you could see, I mean, it's kind of fun too. I feel like we're in this moment where like, oh, wow, I wonder where so-and-so is. Like, what a cool virtual background. Or like, is that a barn? Like where, I mean, it is this really kind of like interesting experience. Like, cause the arts are always about a shared experience. Somebody explained to me a few years ago, the artistic director at Raleigh Little Theater, Patrick Torres, that like part of the fun of theater in the round is getting to look across the theater and see how other people are reacting to it. you know, because that is like, it is a communal experience. Like when you're watching Netflix, all you know is what you and the people you can see around you are doing.
Right.
But when you're in a theater, or even when you're in a Zoom call on some kind of like, you know, Q&A with an artist, or, you know, virtual play reading or virtual First Friday, you can actually see what other people's reactions are. And that's fascinating because it is meant to be like, that is what art is. It is a dialogue. It's about building community. So many of those things can happen online. They just happen in a different kind of way.
It is true. For me, the arts community, after I graduated school here, opened up a whole new set of people. It's so open, it's so welcoming. You can, you know, it crosses all economic and social strata. It's just a great way for me to grow up in Raleigh, was being a part of the arts community. And they just welcome you in, and next thing you know, you're family. So,
That's right.
and y'all have done that very well virtually. So,
Thanks.
what do you say, Charles? We make that the YBY call to action today.
All right.
Raleigh, Wake County, A to Z, Apex to Zebulon. I challenge you to reach out today or tomorrow to your local arts council, your favorite art community, or even your favorite artists. Show them your support and love, because it is the local artists that make Raleigh such a unique and vibrant place to live. Everybody's got Starbucks, but the local artists make Raleigh unique and special, and your local artist makes your town unique and special. So, Charles, Phaneuf, any last words?
Yeah, let me just throw out then, First Friday, the next one is June 5th.
That's right.
So you can check that out with United Arts. We're going to have some Wake County Public Schools students share some of the things that they wrote during writer residencies in their school this year. But I know lots of other organizations are doing virtual First Friday too. Downtown Raleigh Alliance collects that information. The African American Cultural Festival has been doing virtual First Fridays, and a bunch of other local businesses and arts organizations. And so I 100% agree with you. You know, with that call to action, check out what these groups are doing on First Friday and throughout the month, because we still want to hang out with y'all. We'll keep getting together while we're staying apart.
And share on the RYBY Facebook page where you're going to be Friday, June the 5th. I'm going to be with Charles virtually, but I'll peek around. I got so many monitors. I figure I Raleigh, remember, all this and more is in your backyard. Thanks, Charles.
Thanks, Robert.